All right, let's do it.
How's the JTN merch store doing, Joe? Well, check this out. I have a product that's going to save it.
It's neglected.
I have a product that's going to save
Like
it.
a child that gets taken away by CPS.
I have a product that is going to save the JTN merch store.
Okay.
For good. Forever.
Forever.
It is going to save it.
Forever.
So when you guys, I know you guys haven't sim raced in a hot minute, but when you guys do sim race, what footwear do you normally wear when you're sim racing?
Socks.
Yeah,
Socks.
I race in socks.
A pair of socks. What if I told you that there was a pair of socks made for sim racing?
Oh no.
Because I feel like JTN could really tap into the sim racing market under the Fake Racers podcast name. Because Fake Racers, sim racing. So here's my idea. Here's my grand idea. Something that I've noticed sometimes when I'm sim racing, especially at super speedways, is my foot starts to hurt. Pressing on the pedal, especially when I've used like worse pedals in the past, like Logitech pedals or something like that.
Oh,
Not necessarily worse, but lower tier pedals.
Yeah.
My foot hurts because I'm, it's on the edge. It's a small pedal. Yada yada. Here's my idea, right? I'm thinking like a version of grippy sock, where like below like the toe line of the sock and like down like on the bottom of the foot, like everything but the toes is like a harder grippy material, and then under the toes is like a softer grippy material, like normal grippy sock bottoms. And we just put the Fake Racers podcast logo on it, and we call them sim racing socks. And I feel like this is an invention. I could patent it. Maybe we could work out a deal with obviously right now this is all just kind of like we're tossing ideas. This is a lot of brainstorming.
Yeah, everyone out there, don't take his idea.
Yeah. This is a lot of there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of brainstorming. Trust me, I already have. I've written a lot of letters. Things are in motion. You won't be able to do this. There's a lot of back and forth, but maybe one day we can kind of work with smaller companies like Alpine Stars or Sparko, like startup companies, and then work our way up to something a little more professional.
Like Puma.
Or JTN, Fake Racers Podcast brand sim racing gear. So I just wanted to kind of throw that idea, and I wanted to use that as a way to spur ideas for you guys to think about spicing up what we know now as the JTN merch store, but may become one day the JTN Fake Racers store.
Well, I have a bunch of ideas about that, but
yeah,
you don't want to hear them because they're pretty negative.
Oh,
yeah, not about your socks, but about the merch store, because I like the idea of your socks.
I think the socks are a worthwhile invention.
I just think I need to change the merch store.
That's true. That's not negative.
I feel like spring.
That's productive.
Like spring isn't the best. It's got YouTube integration, which is good.
That's pretty good. They don't send. From what I can tell, from what I know, my experience only, they refuse to make mugs.
Yeah, they're not great.
Do you guys
they don't make them.
The printing quality isn't great either.
The shot, so only the handle of the mug is in the shot.
I noticed.
It's just mean, honestly.
Because it
wasn't even intentional, but I just noticed that as you were saying it.
Because I see that, and what you guys need to understand is I've never felt that before. That's not saying I've never seen the JTN mug handle in real life.
It's
Davey,
not true. It's not real.
Whenever I get the chance to visit you, I'm gonna bring my mug just so you can hold it.
Please let it break on the way.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Hand it to him and drop it.
It's just only the handle breaks off.
Are you okay, Davey?
Can we start the show, please?
Folks, this is Fake Racers Podcast. I'm Joe. Matthew down
Davey.
Below. That's Davey. We're here. We're trying some new stuff this week. If you're a long-time listener or first-time caller, you might be a little confused. Don't worry, we got you. We got some great stuff. We got. We're gonna podcast it up tonight. How's that sound, boyos?
Hell
sure,
yeah.
Man.
All right.
Clown.
So we're calling our opening. Well, we're calling our first segment. We're calling it Hot Laps. You know, because we're going out there trying to put a good time down. We're trying to get the good vibes flowing here at the start. So let's start with something that everyone's talking about this week. Denny Hamlin won in controversial fashion. I'm gonna just zip my lips. Matthew, you can go first. Davey can refute, whatever, rebuttal, and we'll go from there. So
I like that
Matthew.
we're prefacing this as if Davey and I weren't like on the same page when we were talking about this earlier.
I think it sucked because it wouldn't be much of a podcast if we all agreed. So
Yeah.
I'm the closest one that disagrees with everyone, so I have to be the guy who's gonna get the heat, and that's fine. I'll accept it.
Heat.
You'll yes and this week. Battling for the lead, late restart. Basically the exact same thing that happened last year. Denny Hamlin on the inside, Chevy driver on the outside. Hamlin washes up. Car on the outside gets into the wall. May or may not be contact, and Ho's mad afterwards. And I don't know really how to leapfrog into this, but like I'm not against the idea that Kyle Larson has one coming, because God knows he's run a lot of people into the wall in the last year and a half. But it was like what I was saying, Denny Hamlin plays innocent in his interview. Maybe he did think he didn't do anything wrong, but it's like you did the same thing 2 years in a row. I feel like you know what you did. Makes the excuse of like, oh, we had a lane to the outside, and it's like, well, you had like 3 to your inside, so that kind of doesn't make sense. And it's just in my opinion, the consistent victim complex from Denny Hamlin of like, why is everybody mad at me? But then when it happens to him, he's like, oh, this guy sucks and I hate him. I don't know. Just frustrating. Same old thing. So
I don't think there's a victim complex going on. Like, I don't think he's like, why is everybody mad at me? I don't think he's like questioning what happened. It never once felt like he was like under the impression that no one was going to be mad. You know?
Yeah.
I don't think he ever worded it that way.
Maybe that's the wrong term, but it's like what I've said, where like Denny Hamlin very clearly wants to be the dude in the garage, the authority figure, and he wants people to listen when he talks. But when you talk that much and when you demand that level of attention, people are going to scrutinize everything you say and do so much more. So
That's a fair point.
It's hard. It's hard for especially fans, but it seems, and definitely from Kyle Larson's interview, which we'll get into, is that a lot of drivers push back on that idea because Denny doesn't seem to always practice what he preaches, it seems like. And it's not to say that nobody can run anybody into the wall. It's just like, if you're gonna wax poetic on your platform every chance you get, then maybe don't play dumb when you try to put somebody in their place, seemingly. Maybe he didn't try to put Kyle Larson in the wall, but he still missed the corner and ran him up the track. And either way, like, you can't play dumb in all of this. I don't know. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, that like to a level, this discussion is going to be done to death. Everything I say is there's not going to be an original thought here. Someone will have said this. I can't find the energy to get riled up about it because there's, race car drivers play media games every week. One of them does. And I think, personally, I think some of the discussion about Denny Hamlin thinking that, like, oh, this is the way to do it. This is exactly how to be. I think some of that's a little overplayed, but I understand as well that it comes back to that point that Denny Hamlin's going to be scrutinized because he does say those things. He does say those things. And let's say he doesn't say those things, but it is made into a bigger deal because it's him. Because Kyle Larson has run countless people into the wall, and it doesn't ever get nearly this much attention. And it largely flies under the radar. And I don't know, I haven't gone back and looked at every Kyle Larson interview, so I can't say whether Kyle Larson's taking blame or whether Kyle Larson's this or that. I think Kyle Larson just doesn't say anything about it. I think he just keeps his mouth shut in general altogether, to his detriment and to his credit in a way, because it leads to him kind of being able to fly under the radar and continue doing it. I mean, he did it twice in one weekend at Darlington, once in Xfinity, once in Cup. He's I think that's.
And he somehow
I don't want to move too far off topic,
Mhm.
but my main thing is I don't see the need to get so riled up about a driver who may or may not be a hypocrite when being a hypocrite is a thing we see across all of racing. I hear F1 drivers contradict themselves within an hour of themselves. Like, it's ridiculous. But you know, I wish I could disagree more to have a good, fun little argument, but I see why people are mad, but I myself can't find that energy because I just don't see how it's that much different than a million other things that we see all the time.
Yeah.
Same with the media comments. I don't see how it's that much different. And also, moving on, Denny Hamlin went on to say on his podcast that he doesn't love that he did it, and I think that is. No, I believe him. I mean, he's friends with Kyle Larson. He doesn't feel all warm and fuzzy that he put him in the wall, you know. Like I've been glad that I have won races, or been glad that I have performed well in sim racing and karting, and still felt bad about the fact that maybe I overran someone, you know. So that is a real thing. I believe him, and also if you don't believe him, you're probably the same person that clowned him when he admitted to doing something to Ross, and he got penalized for it.
Yeah.
And now you want him to admit it. So there's no, I don't think there's any winning here.
No,
and maybe he did that to himself. I'm not going to say he didn't do it to himself. I remain neutral on that, but there's no winning. There's no way he's getting out of this like without getting booed or without all this stuff. And looking at the incident itself, rewinding back to the incident, the more I watch it, there's an onboard posted from behind the incident as well. The contact was very minimal. It really actually wasn't as bad as it looked from that initial angle on TV.
Yeah, the live view made it look like he just straight punted Larson into the fence.
Yeah, and so I could believe that he genuinely for a little bit thought that there wasn't contact. He went back and looked at the replay and he maintained it. I think he's just saying that for his podcast because there's no way. Because there was definitely a little bit of contact. There's no way there wasn't. That he is just wrong.
His hood flaps were literally up. Like those usually don't come up without hitting something.
Yeah. Or and like even that, like you can kind of maybe make a case for like the air being moved around because the air gets turbulent when cars get that close side by side. But it just looked so much like there was just a brush, just a rub, just enough to send Kyle Larson to the top. And Kyle Larson, he's done this before too, where he's gotten hit and then he just throttles it. So maybe it didn't make it that much better. Phoenix, with Ryan Newman come to mind.
Darlington.
Darlington as well.
Yeah. This year.
Wow, what the hell am I thinking? Yeah.
I wanted to.
Good.
I wanted to real quick go back to that Darlington because you mentioned it. Ross kind of gave it back to him and stuff, and yeah, Ross screwed up, and we talked about it at that time, and Larson was so upset over that.
Yeah.
Felt like this situation should have been a little more upset than maybe Darlington with the way because he didn't do anything to Denny in that race. I
actually genuinely agree. That's a good point as well.
But they're friends.
That was the thing too. That like, it just seemed completely unprovoked. If it was intentional, I don't think it was intentional. I think it was just kind of careless.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about the levels of scrutiny, I think the biggest part is like we're saying is Denny talks a lot, and like every time there's an incident with Denny Hamlin, my initial reaction is like, God damn it, I'm gonna have to hear about this for the next 2 weeks. So I think that's the big, and I think that is the biggest deciding factor between this is Denny Hamlin has a platform and likes to talk, and Kyle Larson doesn't.
And he also fused with Hendrick drivers a lot.
Yeah.
That really, it sucks when you're like competing with the guys that everyone loves, right? And just, man, especially the ones that are good, man. Larson's comments, you mentioned it, how Larson usually pretty quiet. It was a good interview. I thought that was we always, I think we rag on Larson. We rag on Chase about they're a little too tame with their interviews. At times they don't talk to William Byron enough or Alex Bowman ever. So, I would assume it's a Hendrick thing.
Yeah.
But kind of just synopsis, or to paraphrase, said, Denny is always right, and I didn't deserve that. I think we kind of summed that up, though, already. I don't know if we need to retread that. necessarily.
Fair point. Probably
Yeah.
he probably in that contained instance didn't deserve it. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, we talked about repeated behavior and stuff, and Denny did this to Chase at Charlotte, and obviously we talked about Chase kind of overreacting to it. Larson went up there and rubbed Denny a little bit after the caution, and I was waiting for NASCAR to give him a penalty, but then I remembered he drives for Hendrick. So I gotta get my comments in somehow.
I will say, going back to the actual incident itself at Pocono, like we can all agree, like this isn't to say that no one's at fault. I think racing incidents can have someone still be at fault and still be a racing incident, but overall, racing incident, right? Like,
oh yeah, and
overall,
we're talking about it, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a good thing. If
Oh,
anyone
yeah,
thinks
I
this is a
didn't
bad
even-
thing, that's like,
Oh yeah,
What are you
I didn't even
talking
bring up that
about?
it was good for the sport because it's obvious that it's good for the sport. This
Yeah.
is fantastic. It is. I thought of this before Dale did on his podcast. So if you see this on the Dirty Mo Twitter, it was me first. It's a great time to be a NASCAR fan right now.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of cool stuff happening. I thought of it before
Rivalries.
Dale did.
are back.
And my rivalry is with Dirty Mo Media.
Buddy, you're fighting a losing fight there,
Yeah.
bud. I don't know what to tell you.
We're gonna make it, baby. Come on.
We're gonna
So-
Alan Koike this bitch. We got this.
So Kyle Larson was mad, right? He had a reason to be mad. Now, one guy that didn't have a reason to be mad,
this was so funny.
Austin Dillon. He was big mad. He tried to break out his pitching abilities terribly, by the way. Spiked that helmet into the ground. He made some contact with Tyler Reddick. Big crash. Glad to see that he was okay. First off, maybe he was, knocked a little bit silly because, again, he did not throw the helmet anywhere close to the 45 car. So maybe he was a little dizzy still, Hopefully not. But, no, not the right comment. We'll cut that.
That was good. It was good. I just
You went like this. I'm like, okay.
no. I'll say no. He needs to.
Cool it down.
I don't even know if he needs to stick to driving race cars, but at least not throwing helmets.
I mean, do we have any thoughts there? Because I thought that was kind of a big
What the
moment
hell-
in the race.
What the hell are you doing?
I thought in the moment it was like it was a little bit of eighth gap car, but like Reddick was there. Dylan turned in like he wasn't. I guess he expected Reddick to not stick in there like that. I get the helmet throw in the moment, but like
Thought
the
he was still
fact that
driving
it-
the 8.
the fact that it continued on after that, it was like, all right, like you guys have had time to cool off. You've had time to see the replay. Like maybe there's just still some hurt feelings there or whatever, but it's just a lack of awareness for sure.
I don't know why. The Tyler Reddick's the only reason Austin Dillon has any wins in the last 5 years.
True. That's true, yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. It's just bizarre. Yeah.
Also, anyone else find it weird this is the second time Austin Dillon has accused someone of doing something that they didn't do? Like
I'm telling
a
you, man.
month and a half?
Time to step into that ownership role at RCR. This whole driving thing ain't working out.
Oof.
Where is he at in points right now?
Okay, he had one of those 100-point penalties though
Yeah.
too. So he should be like top 20 in points.
He would be 22nd right now.
Never mind.
Where's Kyle Busch?
Well, listen.
Uh,
That ain't the conversation we're having.
It's finna be. It's
Yeah.
fixing to be.
All right, last topic here to open the bubble battle, right? This has been the hottest conversation because this year we don't have people just winning left and right like we did a year ago. We still have 5 spots on points after Pocono with 5 races remaining. Things the picture got a little clearer. Bubba Wallace, Michael McDowell both gained points. I believe McDowell's 17 to the good and Bubba's 22. Those are the numbers in my head.
Hold on. I'm looking.
Daniel Suarez, obviously, he wrecked early. Unfortunate for them, but that kind of feels like it puts them into a must-win situation. AJ Allmendinger wasn't able to close the gap all that much. Ty Gibbs, even with the top 5, wasn't able to really close the gap too much. So
and we don't have to talk about who's in 20th in points. All right. Don't have to relive that.
what? Chase Elliott?
No, Alex Bowman.
Oh, well. Whoops.
Life is pain. That's all I have to say about that. So,
He's paying
Also,
for
but-
that 2021 Pocono win.
Yeah. Also, before we move on to the next segment, or the next topic, there is, because AJ Allmendinger did not. I mean, he had a couple good runs in a row, and then just kind of was invisible today. And nobody's talking about the fact that he right reared his teammate going into the tunnel turn this weekend. Like, nobody's mentioned that. Like, Justin Haley went head on into the wall in 2, and it was 100% AJ Allmendinger who hooked him. I don't know if maybe Allmendinger got turned into him or something, but it was definitely him. Something's up at Calling, dude. Like, something is
I
up.
don't think he intentionally turned him. Like,
I don't know
you,
if it,
are you
that,
trying
that's
to
the
say
thing.
he right reared him? Like, what are we doing, Matt?
Dude, watch the replay. He
Brother.
literally right
All
reared him.
right,
He was the
all right.
car that hooked Haley.
Okay,
I
Austin
don't say,
Dillon.
I'm not saying he did it intentionally. I'm not saying he did it intentionally. I don't know
Yeah.
what happened. That's the thing. And nobody's talking about it. Nobody's investigating this at all. But like, Justin Haley was pointed towards the outside wall in the grass going into the tunnel turn, and there was a white Camaro with yellow roof numbers hooking his right rear quarter panel. Like, they just like didn't dwell on it at all on the broadcast. And like, I haven't seen anybody talk about this, that it was literally his teammate. It's so weird.
There's no really good replays of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
think
you
at
all of a
least,
sudden
like-
saw a car going head on into the outside wall.
Yeah.
Wow,
I don't know. It's just weird.
that is.
They're covering something up, aren't they?
I just feel like
That's what you sound like. That's what you sound
flew
like.
under the radar that like every single time there's been a right rearing incident, like everybody online has been all over it. And this one they're like, man, that's crazy. Justin Haley died. Anyway.
For note, Justin
let's
Haley
see,
did
let's
not
see.
die.
Yeah, that was
He's alive. He's fine.
hyperbole.
He's okay. As far as
So,
we know.
I'm just curious. I want to know what happened. So
I don't know. I can't find anything on it.
That's a great transition because our next segment's called From the Shop. We're going to talk all things news. These titles, they're going to change, folks, if we don't like them. Speaking of Justin Haley, big news, bombshell news this past week. We talked a lot silly season last week. We talked about the 10. We talked about the 34, 38, the 21. We didn't talk about the 51 or the 15 or the 31. And guess what? Things
didn't
just
think
got a
we
little
needed to.
weird with those
We
three.
did not think we needed to. I think.
Justin Haley announces he's going to move to Rickware Racing, and in all his interviews, he talked about RFK, Brad Keselowski, being instrumental in that. Of course, Rickware has an alliance with RFK.
How's it gonna feel when Justin Haley replaces Brad Keselowski at RFK, Joe?
I don't know. Listen, I'm Eric Jones, man. 4-3. Let's go.
You're not gonna ride or die with RFK?
I don't think so. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Because, like, I also, was never, like, a Roush guy because of Carl Edwards and,
Right.
tried to kill my boy and stuff.
Hmm.
But
That's
I don't
fair.
know.
I
Probably.
feel like it's a Carl Edwards thing more than a Roush thing. But
Well, yeah, but, like, this hatred runs
Jack-
deep.
did Jack Roush go out there and right rear Brad Keselowski? It'd be pretty
Yeah,
awesome
Jack
if he
Roush
did.
is weird.
you know who did right rear somebody?
AJ Allmendinger.
Yeah.
What do we think, Justin Haley moving over to Rickware Racing?
I think so. I think something's up at Calling, dude. Just like what happened 2 weeks ago
You
in Atlanta.
really are on this conspiracy theory.
It's literally 2 of the last 3 weeks in a row. Something completely inexplicable with Justin Haley's happened, and now all of a sudden he's also leaving the team to go to Rick Ware.
All right. Well,
Where's my
Matt's-
tinfoil at?
Well, Matt's like got the red yarn out and a bunch of thumbtacks on the
Pepe
wall.
Sylvia.
I'm gonna let's talk about I don't think it's as bad a move as people are thinking. I think I forget what they are. I wish I wrote them down. I've been doing better about writing stuff down. I have my notebook and I have my iPhone with my notes, but I didn't write this down. There's kind of signs that it looks like Rick Ware might be downsizing, potentially selling a charter maybe. That's all a good sign. I think those cars in that team has the ability to be competitive in the mid pack maybe. No, obviously, I don't think they're going to be competing for wins. Let's get that out of the way right now. I don't mean competitive in the sense of I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to be a little bit behind Colleague for a little while. But RFK is on the up and up. There's a big partnership there. Justin Haley is a good race car driver, no matter what you think, no matter how mad you are that he didn't push Daniel Hemrick to a win. And if he's kind of eyeing RFK in that 6 car, or if maybe RFK, maybe who knows? Maybe RFK is looking at being a 3-car team one day. I don't know because a lot of talk is had in the industry circles that 3 cars is the magic number for cars, like financially. Maybe RFK is looking at that. Maybe it's something in the future. We don't know what those talks are. I just think a lot of people are clowning Justin Haley for this move when I don't think it's as bad as it seems.
It reminds me a lot of when Truex and Boyer announced their MWR moves because MWR was some butt ass shit at the time, and then they turned into a race winning team. So
yeah,
it could work out that way. Yeah, Justin Haley. So when we were talking about this, I think it was last week when we were trying to find the new Menard line or whatever.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm starting to think more and more that Justin Haley is that guy because like every time I hear people talk about how much he sucks, I'm like, hang on, he's not that bad. But then when people are like, dude, Justin Haley rules, I'm like, let's chill out a little bit on that.
Calm down.
I think he's
No way.
perfectly right in the middle.
Yeah.
Good.
He is a capable race car driver.
Fair enough.
Fair point.
Yeah.
I
I definitely the fact that they're partnering up with RFK can be a sign for the future, but that's also banking on RFK continuing to their upward trajectory. So,
which I think is likely, just because Brad Keselowski. Listen, this guy has a history of helping build programs as a race car driver.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, helped build Junior Motorsports, helped build Penske into the team that they are now, because the team they were when it was Ryan Newman in the 12 car and Rusty Wallace and Kurt Busch and that team, while they
I will not stand for this David Stremme erasure.
Okay, whatever. That team and Sam Hornish Jr., don't forget him either.
Yeah.
God.
That team, while they had all the funding and they had all the partners and they had the backing and they had the pedigree, they weren't the championship caliber team that they are now.
No.
So if you look at it as, hey, we're with RFK, that team is only going to get better. Brad Keselowski has publicly endorsed Chris Buescher, which I think is huge. Because I think Chris Buescher needed that. Because he was not going to get that from Jack Roush. Because that's just not who Jack Roush is. We know that, right? And that's fine. That is fine. That worked.
You're telling me the guy who ran a competition to figure out who his Truck Series drivers is going to be might be kind of cold to his drivers, Joe? Is that what you're telling me?
But I think, and you look at that team and they're having fun too, right?
Yeah.
Like we always talk about this with other sports, and like when the team's having fun, they're doing good. I hate to bring it back to my favorite teams, but I look at Michigan football up until 2020, and then I look at the last 2 seasons, and there is a remarkable difference on the sidelines of that team. Same thing with the Detroit Lions. Same thing with all these other teams that you've seen get better and better and better. And those are just because those are examples that are relevant to me. I'm sure you guys can find them for yourselves too. Point being, when a team's having fun, it's a lot easier to perform well, and I think that's what they're doing. That they have a guy that knows how to build programs, helping run the program, and I don't know. Justin Haley has 1 Cup Series win. Another guy that has 1 Cup Series win is Shane Van Gisbergen, who will return at the Indy Road Course, which was not previously planned in the Project 91 car. It's also pretty much sounds like a done deal that he's going to go NASCAR racing. I'm assuming Cup Series racing in 2024.
So wild.
The first question being, do we like the move from a sense of competitiveness? The second
100%.
question being, 100. You say 100%?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it.
Same thing, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we don't need to have any discussion there.
No.
Second question being, where does he land? Because you talked about Rick Ware might be selling a charter. Do they sell it to Trackhouse? Do they sell it to Colleague? Do they sell it to, What, do they sell it to one of these Chevy teams? RCR is another one that, we want 3.
I think we need to go back and are we really? We need to rewind a little bit. Are we really sure he's going to go to the Cup Series? Where do you start out, Shane Van Gisbergen? I have my opinion.
You
But
say
where do
you
we
start
start?
him out in Xfinity? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that at all. But what do
Okay.
you guys think?
See, this is what's tough. Is like he's run one race.
Right.
I don't know if I said those 2 words backwards or not. But like, oh my god, what was I trying to say here? Oh, like I feel like obviously we need more of a sample size. I think we need to see him on an oval first. I think that's the biggest thing.
Probably not going to before
Yeah.
next year if he's going.
Because like, yes, he won in his first race out, but like it was also at a type of track that NASCAR has never run at before. And I don't think he's not going to be competitive at Indy. I mean, he very well could run it back again, but like it is extremely specific circumstances for him to win that race first tryout. I think it'd be awesome if he shows up, and I feel like if he wants to go Cup racing, he's not going to have any trouble finding a ride.
Mm.
But it would be cool to see them roll at the 91 for an oval race and just see how he does. But we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. Because I mean, this was a debate that was kind of happening when this news came out last week on some platforms. Like, where do you start Shane Van Gisbergen? I saw people saying that he needs to go Xfinity Series racing. I saw people saying he's a start in the trucks. I don't agree with either of those. Nope. I think Xfinity racing will only mess him up in the next gen car. I mean, we saw when Jimmy Johnson, outside of Daytona, obviously, when he went to Charlotte, he had not had any experience with the next gen car other than on the super speedway. And he made the mistake that all the drivers in the first season of next gen made, where he was spinning out. He was, getting caught up in himself. I mean, the next gen car is hard to drive, especially if you're not used to it, especially on an oval. I think if you run an Xfinity car, if you run a truck, that's only going to mess you up. It's only going to set back your development in the next gen car. I think he has to start in Cup. And I think it's really crucial for him to start on an oval this year before he does move to full-time next year. I think whether he does that or not remains to be seen. But if there's any discourse about where he needs to start out, what series, do not put him in anything on a bigger track that is not a next gen car, because it is only going to hurt his development on ovals.
And that kind of takes me back to what I was talking about when the next gen first came along. Is like, how is this going to affect the ladder to get to the Cup Series? Because it used to seem almost like a natural progression of the way the cars drive from trucks to Xfinity and then to Cup. And now the Cup car is nothing like the other two.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if maybe that has anything to do with why we've seen guys like Cole Custer and Harrison Burton struggle so bad in the next gen. But like that's what you're saying about, he already has the V8 supercar knowledge, and the next gen is supposed to be very analogous to that. And so you're basically telling him, forget everything and then relearn it again a few years later. Yeah. And for somebody like him who basically already has experience in a car extremely similar to the next gen, it doesn't make sense for him to go run a completely different type of car.
Mm-hmm.
I concur.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
As to where he lands, I mean, we kind of had this next, and I don't want to mix our topics together here from the shop.
Oh,
but I mean, the state of silly season right now is absurd. There's I have no idea what is going to happen next. There's a lot of names, there's a few race teams, and who knows where the hell everyone's going to go or what's going to happen to, I don't think Project 91 goes full-time, and I don't think Trackhouse gets a third charter to go full-time. Does he
replace Suarez?
That's a tough one.
Because I don't know. There's been rumblings. They mentioned it. So the way I look at it, if they mention it on TV, I think it was Kyle Petty mentioning it. Maybe it was Jeff Burton, or it was someone on the NBC pre-race or post-race. No, it was pre-race. Mentioned Daniel Suarez specifically, and it was like, what?
Why?
Is he not?
No.
What do you? Yeah, exactly. Is he not safe for next year? So it's kind of, because I thought he had just signed a contract.
Yeah, I think besides the speculation, I would assume he's safe.
I would too.
Trackhouse is behind Daniel
signed an
Suarez.
extension this offseason for multiple years.
But I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire. That's not to say that there aren't conversations being had. But then, like, where does Colleague has an open spot now, I guess, but that kind of seems primed for
Austin Hill.
Exactly. It's like, how do we fit them? Where do they all go? Who's gonna get what? Are we gonna have an uncharted full-time team? Probably not. They're gonna lose money. So, what happens?
And the rumor too, RCR wants a third charter. Remember, they were gonna who knows, but they were gonna try to run Tyler Reddick full time in a third car this year, supposedly.
Mm-hmm. Maybe this is where Rick Ware Racing downsizing comes into play. Sells a charter.
Mm-hmm. There's the rumors about Stuart Haas and the 10 charter. And do they continue to run that car?
Dude. What
Spire could
happening?
sell a charter.
That's pretty likely. I don't think they're a great 2-car team. I think they needed to go down to 1, but that would make sense for them.
The thing with RCR's charter though is like if they start a third team, Austin Hill's 100% going to that. They're not going to start a third team and then outsource their young star driver out to somebody else.
Well, that's exactly the point though, because then it opens the 31. Because right now that's the rumor is that he's going to the 31.
Yeah,
and he is the top guy in Xfinity right now that doesn't have a ride next year in Cup.
Yeah,
right.
It's not. Yeah, and I don't. Yeah. I don't see them putting Hemrick in the car because they got to.
They tried that.
They got to run better before they even explore that idea, and Chandler Smith's not ready. So,
and it could be a thing where AJ maybe runs 2 more years in Cup and calls it a career, and Chandler takes that car too. You you don't know right now. What these succession plans look like. John Hunter Nemechek would be a great candidate for anyone, but I don't think he's leaving Toyota.
Nope.
Because I think he's smarter than that.
He is preying on Martin Truex Jr.'s downfall.
Yeah.
Get that 19 car.
We talked about it. Martin Truex, he is sending Martin Truex Jr. fishing poles every week.
Do you think he's just like walking by Truex's car and just like letting air out of his tires like as he goes by?
he's
hiding Bass Pro
worms
Shops
on
gift
his
cards.
doorstep every
just
morning.
Unplugging things.
It's there's still a lot of dominant. We don't know if Eric Almirola is retiring.
That's just like I like how that's just a thing that we've accepted. That for 2 seasons now, we have had no idea if Eric Almirola is going to retire.
He literally
or not.
announced last year that he was retiring at the end of the year, and then he was like, "Nope."
Baking money.
he's just on his Mark Martin arc. He's going to announce his retirement and then drive for 10 more years.
At this point, I believe it because the man is just. We're just accepting that that's normal with him. That he's just
bringing in the bacon.
Potentially retire.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, but yeah, silly season's silly.
It's just awesome that we're in a state of the silly season where 2 of the names being rumored for full-time rides are Shane Van Gisbergen and Jensen Button.
Who's rumoring what?
Jensen Button was on the list of people to replace Eric Almirola.
He has expressed interest. He really liked NASCAR, and he really liked the Garage 56 thing.
He needs to run an oval first.
I think it's a smaller chance than like some of these other names that we mentioned, but it is a possibility, and the fact that it is a possibility is nuts.
Yeah, well, there was. Yeah, I think it was before Josh Berry signed with him, but they had the rumor mill of like who might replace Eric Almirola if he retires, and it was like Josh Berry, Corey LaJoy, somebody else, Jensen Button, and everybody's like, "Hang on, hold on,
whoa!"
You can't. Just
3 of those names made sense, guy. Okay, Stern, damn it.
But silly season's silly right now.
It's really good. Like I said, great time to be a NASCAR fan.
Great time.
Also, I was looking this up because I was looking up Rick Ware Racing stuff, and I forgot that Rick Ware has a World Supercross team, and they can't even get 2 of the same bikes for 2 of their riders. So it's like how a few years ago they were showing up with different manufacturers every car. They can't even get 2 Yamaha YZ450s.
Listen, Rick Ware, he just likes racing, man. He's drag racing now. Supercross, NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA. He's everywhere, man. He just likes racing. I feel like it's almost like he's just licensing his name. I don't know why or how or who would pay for it, but he's doing it. It's the only thing I can think of. He's just Ray Kroc, but NASCAR guy.
Yeah,
You know.
pretty much.
So we have a fun little segment for this week, 1 week only. We're gonna call it Dewey on location. You know, the man, the myth, the legend, Dewey Schramm, who you know and you love. He sent in a video because he was at SRX this past week Ricky was also there. They were supposed to take a video together. They didn't. Whatever. I'm not mad. Don't worry, neither of them listened to
well,
this.
I'm glad you're not bitter about it. So,
But let's go ahead and let's go to our correspondent on the ground, Mr. Dewey Schramm in Stafford.
Hey, it's Dewey from JTN. Just got back to my car after a really cool SRX event here at Stafford. Second week in a row these guys came here. Hope everybody in Vermont is continuing to be safe and everything with all the stuff that's been going on up there. Thoughts are with everybody affected by all the floods and everything. What a race that was. Had a lot of action through the first two heats. Greg Biff had to go to a backup car for the main, and the action didn't stop there once the main started. Had a bunch of guys losing brakes and everything by the end. Had a couple pretty big hits to the outside wall. Kanan, Priest, Gazlowski. I think Tracy did too towards the end, but man, Ryan Newman out here becoming a bit of an ace here at Stafford. He's now raced here 3 times. He's won twice, finished second the third time. This man might be new to the block here in the Connecticut short track scene, but man, he is making it look easy, already winning twice, again, in just a short amount of time, beating out the likes of Priest and Suarez, Tony Stewart, everybody else. I can't say enough about the job that Tony and Ray Evernham and Don Hawk have done to build this program up. It's been an incredible journey they've had over these first 3 years. Second time I've been here down to Stafford, and man, it has been a blast both times. Again, can't say enough about the job they're doing, but the driver's performance and everything else. Fans have been great. The action's been great. The broadcasts have been great. Can't ask for more for a short track series, and I'm glad I've been able to come down here twice. It's been a blast.
And that was Dewey Schramm on location
that was
after
the most
SRX.
New England racing fans sounding video I've ever heard in my life. Like that, literally, that was, I could not, it was so on brand with like the region.
All that
It
I
was
was
good.
missing was just what's better than this? Just guys being dudes.
No way.
Literally sounds like every New England racing fan I've ever encountered. That was awesome.
But genuinely, that was awesome. And Dewey, we really appreciate you. Again, hope you watch or listen.
Also, drive safely. Don't do what he did.
I know, I was gonna make a
Man,
joke about the lighting being really dark, and then you pointed out that he was driving. I was like, oh, that's why.
Yeah, I heard the damn road noise. I was like, there's no way this man is vlogging while busting down the highway.
Hey, he was doing his due diligence for JTN.
Gotta get the content.
Reminder: don't text and drive, and don't use your phone if you're in the state of Michigan. It's illegal to even like hold your phone in your hand now. That's a thing. That is a thing.
I believe it. No,
You can't. It was crazy. End of June, they're like, no more you can't hold your phone in your hand. So guess who had to get a car mount for his 2008 car that don't have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto or all this newfangled stuff that the law is made for? You know.
Oh man, Nolan Ryan, he had to do it, didn't he?
Yep.
God. Oh,
Anyways.
you meant you had to do that? Oh,
yeah, me
okay.
too. But you know,
My bad.
that guy too.
Ah, darn, my bad.
I hate you. But yeah, as Dewey said, Ryan Newman won a really entertaining SRX race. These races have been awesome. I don't really have too much more to say. I don't know if you guys have anything. But
If I start talking about it too long, I'm gonna get the 1,000-yard stare. So
what?
I'm just trying. Ryan Priest had it in the bag, lost his damn brakes. I swear to God, the fact that I was a Jimmy Johnson fan is the sole reason that I'm like that used up all of my racing fanhood happiness, and I'm not allowed to enjoy anything ever again. I'm sure of it. I have not enjoyed. No driver that I like has enjoyed like a large amount of success other than the odd race win with Parker Kligerman since Jimmy Johnson's 2017 season. It's been 98% pain since then.
Yeah, it's kind of absurd at this rate. Like,
maybe just pick better drivers.
It's crazy to imagine like Ryan Preece was like wasting away at JTG a couple years ago, and then he was like, "Finally, my big break at Stuart Haas," and now he's like trying to punch out Corey LaJoy.
In the meantime, ran really well in the Xfinity, won some truck races, almost won a few more truck races and stuff like that. Got his big break. I'm like, and then he still
doesn't have a top 10 this year.
And then,
oh, God.
I mean, to be fair, I still firmly believe he's the second best SHR car. It's just a shame that the second best, third best, and fourth best SHR cars all run outside the top 25. So,
dude, it's crazy. Chase Briscoe runs 30th every week. It's like, what are you doing, blood?
On speed. It's ridiculous.
I remember it was Auto Club too, where they just flat out missed the setup, and we were like, oh man, they're struggling this week. That's weird. Maybe they just missed the setup. No, that's just been the season.
They just suck.
Yeah. Also, the one race where they were all very good, Ryan Preece sits on pole for Martinsville, gets a speeding penalty, goes to the back, is stuck outside the top 20, and 3 of the 4 SHR cars that aren't him are all inside the top 4 at one point in that race.
So there was the graphic, the graphic that they posted this week, which was Kevin Harvick starting 4th, Almirola 27th, Briscoe 29th, Preece 34th.
Pain.
It's like, what are we doing? And it's not like, okay, so SHR out of all like the super teams that we like to say, probably the least funded, like outside funding, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would say out of the 4.
Yeah.
Right.
Or
I mean,
four
Eric
super,
Almirola
5
just
super
drove
teams.
a blue car that just said Ford in plain label logo or text on it this week.
Yeah. Well, and
So
the Haas
funding-
money, and
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, at least Ryan Preece was doing good in SRX for a little bit there.
If I had,
or at least reminded that he's talented, and it's maybe not his fault that they're that bad in Cup.
if I had a nickel for every time my drivers were showing flashes of brilliance that ultimately either A, didn't pan out, or B, didn't lead to anything special, I would be able to buy Dirty Mo Media and end the rivalry. But
be able to buy Ryan Preece a better ride at this rate.
He's bringing funding to that car too.
Don't remind, dude. Don't stop.
Not like he's Cole Custer.
Just don't.
All right.
Oh, that's rough.
Well, let's get even rougher here. This is our bottom split segment. For folks that are new here and folks that have listened to us the entire time, because again, this is a completely new format this week that we're testing out. Let us know how it is. Your worst. I gotta preface everything with I think it sucks, so that way when people say it's good, I'll be like, oh yeah, it was pretty good. Genuine reactions, love to see them. This is worst/funniest thing you saw this weekend.
Joe, you go first.
Worst thing I saw this weekend: Carson Hocevar just absolutely flooring it off of turn 1.
Hey, look, that wrecked Parker Kligerman. Piggybacking off of all that.
Circle.
Anytime we think Carson Hocevar is making progress towards actually realizing what he's doing, he does something, and we've talked about that ad nauseum this year.
Is Carson Hocevar the new Noah Gragson?
Yes.
Okay.
I think he wants to be too, and who wouldn't want to be Noah Gragson? He's in the Cup Series, and he just had like 9 Xfinity wins last year. So, listen, that ain't a dig.
I'm so confused. I like Truck Series racing is an anomaly to me. I like, in my opinion, it's like Truck Series racing it's just iRacing, and they just like have a really good computer. Because I don't think it's real.
Nobody races the Truck Series. The Truck Series just kind of happens to everybody. That's the best way to describe it.
People get a trucker and they're just like, damn it.
Yeah, the Truck Series happened to Kyle Busch this week.
Yeah.
So.
We didn't talk about that. That was really cool. Anyway,
yeah.
Stay tuned.
Most people don't care, but
my worst/funniest was Josh Berry on the last lap of the Xfinity race. I don't know how more not clear you can be. Which I thought the thing that got me the most about it was like it was clearly a thing that only affected him, and then the online response of like Josh Berry killed my family kind of thing. It was like that is literally the hardest part of the track to spot, but it was really hilarious to see him go from the apron to almost putting his teammate in the wall just because he was like must get in line, and then was literally wrecked a corner later. So not his proudest moment, but he was going for it.
Am I allowed to do a sim racing thing for mine?
Of course.
Okay, my worst / funny. We as a league, we had 8 people. We attempted the Spa 24-hour
Dude,
for iRacing.
every time I saw you guys posting, I was like, how many
there's so
goddamn people are driving this car?
There's so many different things
8
that
people.
happened.
8 people.
Oh, I'm waiting
8
to see which
people.
one it is.
There's 2 that are really good, and I'm just gonna say both of them because
Yep,
they're
that's
pretty
fine.
funny. Austin gets in. Austin.
JTN commentator Austin Spencer.
JTN commentator Austin Spencer spent all night getting his SR up to get fast tracked to Class C so he could run it with us. He was practicing his first laps in the car like that morning. He gets in the car, I believe after me or a couple stints after me. He gets in the car and he puts down a stint with like I think like 50 or 60 incidents alone. I ended at 50 incidents.
Were you there where when he first got in the car
Yes.
though?
Oh my god.
You
Oh
guys
my
had-
god.
Go ahead.
Austin's been practicing in like test mode, right, in iRacing. Austin gets in the car, rolls out of pit lane, and he's like, "Oh, there's no driving line." And, and immediately we're all like,
freaking out.
"Yeah, are you gonna be okay?" Austin had no frame of reference for the racetrack at all because the
And he was
driving
driving at
line
night,
wasn't on,
too.
and he was driving in pitch black Spa, like middle of the night. It was perhaps the most unhinged thing I've ever seen on iRacing. My other one was it's like 6 a.m., 5 a.m. My dearest friend, I love him to death, Joey Stefano, wrecks the car, and he's like a few laps away from his fuel pit stop. He stays out enough laps. He wrecks the car. There's a meatball flag. When you get a meatball flag in iRacing, you have to pull in within 2 or 3 laps or whatever it is. Joey tries to stretch it to get to the end of his fuel, and he makes a lap, and it tells him he's been disqualified. and iRacing kicks him off the track afterwards, and we get placed behind people, and our race is over with 6 hours left. Not because we wrecked a million times, or because we wrecked a lot, not because we had 250 incidents or whatever. It's because Joey didn't pit, and we got disqualified, and some people didn't even get to make a stint.
I like how ever since you guys won the Rolex last year, much like your Jimmy Johnson fandom, it's just been all downhill since then.
We won the Glen. We won the
that's
Glen.
right.
That was great. The Glen, although it was also 6 hours and only 5 people total participated in 2 different classes. Every other thing we have done, you are correct. The 24-hour at Daytona
Disaster.
was awful. We wrecked a million times. The 12 hours of Sebring, Darren ran the car out of goddamn fuel somehow.
Do you
In the
remember-
LMP2,
do you
there's a
remember
red
him-
blinking
his
light that says
excuse
low
after
fuel.
that? Do you remember his excuse?
No one was here or something.
Yeah.
I forget.
No one
Like,
told me to pit.
Brother.
The car did.
The car did. Your crew chief said you're low on fuel at least 3 laps ago. Listen, we're gonna do petite. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But that was by far the bottom split moment of the week for me. Was just the entire 24 hours at Spa for us 18. It was a
All right.
blast. Had a lot of fun.
So that moves us to our A class of the week. Your top tier, your best.
I don't know why you're not neglecting Road to Pro. Road to Pro is good. That's a good
Okay,
name
Road to
for it.
Pro.
Yeah.
The Road to
The
Pro.
Road to Pro moment.
Okay. Fine.
It's unique.
Go with that.
I like it.
Road to Pro moment. Matthew, you can go first.
My road to pro moment was I won my first time out on my new BMX bike.
Yeah,
Hell
let's
yeah! That's what I'm talking
go!
about.
I felt very fast. I felt like I was only pushing like 75-80%, and I kind of spoke to the two guys I was racing.
There you go.
So I was like, damn, okay, this thing's kind of fast.
Hell yeah!
So but I was excited about that.
I'm excited to see how that fares in like the big events like you were in a couple weeks ago and stuff. Now.
Yeah, it made me realize like how hard I was working on my old bike to run the pace that I normally
Dude.
do. And it's not to say I was off pace, but I was like, damn, I have been riding my ass off to just be on par with these guys.
That's
So I
the
wonder
same-
if I'm
yes.
going to be more competitive.
I love that about racing. Like it's really frustrating to know that you've been suffering for so long, but then you get in something that's good and you're like, I didn't know it could be this good.
Yeah,
I
like
didn't know
carbon
this
fi-
could feel good.
Carbon fiber forks. Who knew your front end of your bike could be that light?
That's awesome. I dig that so much. That's such a cool like racing moment.
How about you, Davey? What was your road to pro moment?
We're gonna shift back to NASCAR in this one. My road to pro moment from this week was Joey Logano cussing out the track workers
Yeah.
like a disgruntled dad in the drive-thru who got like the wrong order.
There were a lot of curses in there.
I've never heard him speak like that ever. Not on the radio, nothing. That is awesome.
What an endorsement, too, for those NASCAR.com onboards that they have for everyone now.
Yeah.
Now, anytime someone wrecks, I'm switching right to them just to see if they talk with the track workers and it picks anything up. And NASCAR, I swear to God, if you start cutting the microphone feeds, what are you doing? That's... Literally, you have to go and find it, so you should know. Like, just viewer discretion is advised. You know, like...
Don't do that. That would stink.
Little Timmy's probably heard something worse in his own household at some point.
That would stink.
So, my road to pro moment this week was Kyle Busch's pass to win KVM's 100th Truck Series race on Corey Heim because he absolutely took Corey Heim to school
100%.
and, talked about how he sent it and he used him up or whatever. And, it was a gutsy move and something that he wouldn't normally do. But, man, that had to feel so good for him because that would have been Toyota's 600th win. And he made him wait 2 more days for it. And, yeah, I don't know. That was such a good move. I was resigned to turn the TV off. I'm like, Corey Haim's got it. And then I'm like, oh wait, no, we don't. And that just amazing move that probably only Kyle Busch is willing to do.
Yeah, and a good point that Noah Joyce, friend of the show, USRL Cup Series champion as of this weekend, brought up in the chat after that move was like the best part about it was Corey Heim could have defended it. He just didn't. He just couldn't. He didn't. He doesn't have the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what I loved about that move was it was just like you can just tell that is a race car driver. That is a Kyle Busch with this many truck races under his belt and this many truck wins under his belt, and that is like raw talent Corey Heim who's still green and still learning and still earning his stripes, and he like the muscle behind that move and just the way it was done, and it was really cool to watch from like a racer's perspective, as I feel like most people who listen to the show can watch from that perspective. So
that's our Road to Pro moments of the week, presented by Road to Pro.
that was fun. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. We're trying to be a little more structured. A little less.
Okay, save it for the meeting.
So let's preview next weekend in the segment that nobody likes doing. Truck Series.
I love doing it.
Truck
I think this is
Series
so much fun.
is at Richmond this weekend. It is their regular season finale. If you do not have a win, you need to win. Things are going to get crazy on Friday night.
I just think it's crazy that you said it's the regular season finale. That is insane.
And it's July.
Yeah.
Thank you, NASCAR, for not making a good Truck Series schedule. Have them
Is
race.
the Truck Series entry list not out yet?
It is not.
Okay.
Uh,
Boo.
Just
oh wow.
Just
This is out of date.
pick someone that you think would be in there.
It says
I'm
it's
trying to
been
look at the
released. That's so weird.
points. Yeah.
I'm taking Ty Majeski, so
Shut up. Boo.
hey.
NASCAR Truck Series
Boo.
standings. Playoff standings. There we go. Okay. Sorry, I'm struggling here. I have to use NASCAR.com, and this is bad.
Oh, do you
Yeah,
guys even watch racing if you can't even name 10 Truck Series drivers?
Are you asking if I watch Truck Series racing? Because
No,
you're not going to like my answer.
Oh my god, Matt Benedetto's in the playoffs right now?
Oh, yeah. He should be. First off, he should be.
He's 30 points clear. Oh damn. Okay. I'm gonna go with this feels like a Ben Rhodes win.
Oh,
Wow, we both picked
Oh.
Thor Sport, guys.
I'm not happy about it, but
Davey, pick Matt Crafton.
Zane Smith.
Wow, okay.
oh yeah, I forgot about Zane Smith.
There's no way you're like, boo, Ty Majeski, boo, and then you pick Zane Smith. Like,
That's why I did it.
Xfinity Series is at Road America this weekend. Everyone was so mad about Road America not being on the schedule. Watch Saturday, the Xfinity Series race. Who do you guys got?
Connor Nutsack.
Okay, Connor Mozak for Davey.
I just wanted to say that. I'm sorry.
Matthew, you want to take Sheldon Creed?
No. I'm trying to undo the curse. I got to post the reversed Sheldon Creed Thursday video before Twitter shuts down. I got to get on that. I'm gonna go weird pick too. I'll take Parker Retzlaff.
Wow. Okay. Give me Kaz Gralla.
Mm.
How many Z's in our drivers' names did we just pick?
We each have one. That's awesome. And then the Cup Series is at Richmond Sunday afternoon.
Ooh. Hmm.
Who was good at Richmond last?
Larson won in the spring. Truex has been lights out as of late.
Man, I want to choose someone that's going to shake up the playoff field, but anyone that's going to shake up the playoff field's either going to stink or I don't want to pick them because it'll jinx them.
On that note,
Ryan Preece.
on the note that you were saying, I'm going to take Chase Elliott.
We know it can't be Bowman because he's already won here. And as we know, he only wins at tracks once. So, I'm going to say Kevin Harvick.
Yeah. He won here last year
Yeah.
in this race.
I don't care what people say. That team's due for a breakout, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. They're running too good consistently,
get-
right?
They'll get one.
So.
He saw history flash before his eyes off turn one this week.
He's like, not again.
He's getting war flashbacks.
Oh,
my God.
man.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. That's Big Racers podcast this week. Right? It
That's fun.
was good.
Was it? I think it was.
Think it was fun or that it was the podcast?
I think it was the Fake Racers podcast. I'm
Okay.
not entirely sure.
Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Now you're recorded saying that, so you know it'll hold up in court. Just so you know.
I had fun.
Davey, where
blinking
can they
Morse
follow
code.
you on social media?
I don't feel like it this week, Joe. I'm sorry.
Okay, Matthew.
They don't need to follow me.
I don't know what the website is called that I have my only active
Pretty-
social media.
Pretty sure
page
it's
on,
still
so-
Twitter.com,
Yeah, by the time this comes out, it's probably not going to be anywhere.
X.com.
I'm going to buy the domain before he can. It's still out there.
He can't even trademark it, so I don't have fun.
Yep.
Remember you can follow us at Johto Network on YouTube, as well as JTN2 here on YouTube if you're watching or if you're listening. Again, YouTube. That's how you keep up to date with us. That's where we kind of post everything. You can get face cams of these podcasts, full-length podcasts on the YouTube, and we post clips over on the main at Johto Network channel on YouTube. Facebook at Johto Network, Instagram at Johto Network, TikTok at Johto Network, Twitter and Threads at Johto Network. We make it super easy for you because, we want to help you help us. Help me help you. So, again, as always, folks, can't thank you enough for watching, listening. Leave a review, leave a comment, leave a like. I think you can reply on podcasts now on Spotify, so leave us a comment there. Maybe you hated the show. Tell us you hated it. Maybe you loved it. Tell us you loved it. We don't care. Just interact with us because that's what we love to see. And we will see you guys next week here on the Fake Racers Podcast.